LoreWarrior Online CMA-1S Chimera Overview. Prior to the launching of Operations Bulldog and Serpent, relations between the Federated Commonwealth and the Draconis Combine were at an all-time high. As a show of mutual support in the face of the coming campaign, the two governments worked side by side to develop a new battle mech that would showcase technological developments made by both, in much the same way that they did with the Gunslinger years earlier. The preliminary design and logistics work took some time. At the behest of Archon Catherine Steiner-Davian, the Lyran Alliance was added to the project, and when she later took control of the Federated Commonwealth, however, Lyran concerns and engineers quickly began to dominate the entire process. The product of the effort between the nations soon became something quite different from the joint effort that was initially conceived. With so many resources already invested in the project by all concerned, however, there was no choice but to allow the Chimera to continue forward into full-scale production. Capabilities. The Chimera is meant to function in light and cavalry mech units, providing relatively heavy fire and still maintain a moderate high speed, allowing it to keep up with their scout elements. The arm-mounted extended-range large laser proves competent at long ranges, while the Combine-produced MRM launcher supplies a punch not many medium mechs are capable of. Though the ER medium laser and the machine gun were apparently added as afterthoughts, they do give the Chimera an extra punch at medium and close ranges, something that can often make the difference in the heat of battle. While some have suggested that the number of energy weapons might give the design a problem, the battle mech is surprisingly efficient heat-wise. Though pilots who constantly push it to its design limits will run into issues, the Chimera is consistently lauded as a capable design. It has a high speed, and is quite nimble, factors only enhanced by its jump capacity. If the Chimera is lacking anywhere, it's in the armour protection. It mounts a mere 7 ton, giving it only the protection afforded by most light machines. On the other hand, its designers felt that the mech's speed, manoeuvrability, and the such would be enough to make up for this. Considering its heavy weapons loadout, the Chimera is certainly one of the more formidable medium-class mechs to debut in the last decade. Deployment. The Chimera entered service in 3063 with the Alarian Jaegers, the 10th Deneb Light Cavalry, and the 3rd Robinson Rangers, all units who are loyal to Archon Catherine. With a full run from the Brigadier plant and half of the Independence runs going to Catherine's unit, Coordinator Kurita made the preemptive move to license production on Epsilon E, giving units who hadn't pledged absolute loyalty to Catherine the opportunity to also purchase these new machines. Variants. The Quentin and Epsilon Eridani plants produce a variant for the Combine and other select units that replaces the machine gun and ammunition with a C3 slave system, giving the Chimera even more command over a battlefield. So far, these variants have found their way into several Davian Guard and Crucis Lancer regiments. So the Chimera is a 40-ton medium. It has a Chameleon Light Endo 2 chassis. Its power plant is the GM240 Extra Light, giving it a cruise speed of 65 and a max speed of 97 kph. It has Rawlings 40 jump jets that give it 180 meter capacity, and its armor is the Starguard CCM. It's armed with a single Exostar extended range large laser, a Bright Bloom extended range medium laser, a Scattergun light machine gun, and a Shigunga MRM-20 launcher. It's manufactured by the Brigadier Corporation, Independence Weaponry, and Cressley Warworks under a license. Primary factories then are both on Oliver, Quentin, and Epsilon Eridani. The communication system is the Korean Transband J12, as targeting and tracking is the Blazefire Tracker with range check. Stat-wise, this means it's a mech that has 6, 9, and 6, with 10 double heat sinks, giving it overall 20 heat dissipation. It has 9 armor on the head, 14 on the center torso with 5 on the rear, 12 on the right and left torsos with 4 on the rear, and 10 on the arms and 16 on the legs, which, yeah, does explain it is quite thin. Its machine gun is located in the right arm, with 100 rounds of ammo in the right torso. It's ER largest in the left arm, as is the medium laser. The MRM-20 is obviously the big bulbous thing on the right torso, and it has 24 rounds of fire, with the ammo located in the same location. Jump jets are then spread between the side torsos. Not a bad-looking mech, to be honest. It does look a bit more like an older design. Like, it doesn't look like the product of cutting edge technology, if you know what I mean. It looks more, it reminds me more of the 3025 original set of mechs. It has almost a kind of construction mech converted kind of look to it. It might just be the art with the cross hatch sort of lines painted on it in a couple of places, but it doesn't strike as like, you know, product of, you know, the latest engineering techniques and such. It looks like a design that's been around a lot longer, really. I don't dislike it. I think it's pretty decent. The loadout is good. I don't mind that. Swapping out the machine gun in the right arm for a C3 system is interesting, but I wonder, does that arm become capped, as it's just like a stump, or would you keep that and then you could sort of use it as an improvised battle fist, essentially? Because if you're going to make a punch attack, you may as well make it with that arm then, in that variant of it anyway. It's not bad though. I mean, maneuverability is definitely key for 40-tonner. Being able to run 9 is pretty good, jump 6 is decent, and it's not going to massively overheat, and the MRM 20 is always decent, especially if you can roll a high number on your scatter shot table, and it's going to mean you're going to do a fair amount of damage if you combine that with the ER large and ER medium. For 40 tons, that's quite a punch. Yeah, definitely. The XL engine's obviously a bit of a problem, and with the fact that the side torsos only have 12 armor on each side, it's a bit thin, let's put it that way. Skinny on the armor side of things, but glass cannon, right? I mean, some people thrive in an environment where you've got a machine that can do a huge amount of damage very quickly, but there is always that looming side effect that it might just pop at any moment. Yeah, definitely one of those machines that I think is good in the hands of a player. Again, if it was a starting campaign and you could put it on the list of like a random mech table that they could roll, or it's just something that you could offer, or if the players were looking, I think it's a really good starter unit, because it's got the maneuverability, but it has punch, so players can feel like they can do a lot of damage if, you know, the stars align for their die rolls and the such. But it also means that players can learn that they need to also be a little more cautious. If they can take a hit and then feel that, like, oh, that almost, you know, that's almost gone internal kind of thing. You can explain those kind of rules to them. I think it's actually a decent, like, kind of introduction or tutorial mech for this period, for people to sort of get used to some of the ins and outs of the system. On the other hand, it's also like a decent kind of intermediate to advanced sort of setting or skill level of players as a mech to bring in as fodder to fight as well, because it's got a decent weapons package. It can hit the players at a pretty good mix of ranges, but it's also not so difficult that, you know, a couple of hits you're going to go internal, which means the players have got a high chance of knocking the machine out of the fight. So yeah, there's some good uses for the Chimera here. In terms of if you bring it into something like MechWarrior Online or like, I think it's in Living Legends if I remember correctly, but it's a decent mech as well in a game like that. Like the HBS BattleTech or just any kind of mod project. Sorry, it's good for that as well. So yeah, not a bad machine. I don't mind it. Yeah, Chimera. So yeah, fun little vehicle. But I'll leave it there. Thanks again, everybody. Apologies for when this is recorded. Apologies for the gap in stuff coming out. It was it was a bit shit for a while, but you know, you move on, don't you? But have a good one, everyone. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you next time. Bye bye.